Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time for Below the Line Oscar predictions to finish off what has been the most spread out Oscar predictions ever.
So spread out that like the acting categories and the picture categories, like we already made amendments to them that people don't know about.
Yeah. For cinematography, we all know Oppenheimer's winning, don't we? Is it something we all agree on? It's something we all agree on.
I think it's gonna win, but I think Poor Things is an obvious number 2.
Hoyt's coming for the Oscar, and he's never won. I don't think Poor Things is necessarily an obvious number 2.
I mean, it's got black and white.
So does
the
Poor
whole
Things
70
and
millimeter
Maestro.
IMAX shit is an easy win. I mean, Oppenheimer's cinematography is exquisitely done, though. Like, the camera work isn't showy. You wouldn't call it showy. Poor Things has really stylish cinematography, much more stylish. I mean, probably the most stylish of the bunch, but maybe those super wide angles, some people will find it nauseating or like, I don't know.
Killers and Maestro, they're just getting nominated. They really are locked in. Killers is just...
Maestro looks gorgeous. Oh my god, the latest trailer. My goodness, it looks like one of the most gorgeous movies of the year. Even Maestro, if it didn't get a Best Picture nomination, I'd be like...
Yeah, and The Zone of Interest is number 5. This is a great number 5.
I agree with that. It's a little different, but there is a narrative here that I think may be spoken about closer to the film's release, that they placed a bunch of cameras around the home and then they just told the actors to go. So the actors don't have like the crew inside the set. I think it was to elevate the realism of the experience and for the actors.
I mean, it's got its share of striking images as well.
Part of it is like desaturated and like they're sort of trying to take the beauty out of the images, but I wouldn't say it's like the images are not beautiful, but they're also not trying to draw that much attention to themselves.
The cinematography is crucial to like the movie overall and its construction. So
there's also a lot of like visual symbolism in the film, which can't be understated. I mean, it's also an aspect of cinematography, of course.
I also think there's not that compelling of a case for the number 6. I mean, I guess Saltburn, could that be a lone nomination for it, assuming that it's kind of dead elsewhere, which is, I don't know if I completely buy that it's dead elsewhere, but it's, it's very possible that Saltburn gets nothing.
Yeah, that's a very showy cinematography movie, though.
Yeah.
So it would be a cool nomination to get, and I do think it's not impossible that it gets a lone cinematography nomination. It's also the most likely nomination Saltburn's going to get. I really don't think it's going to get anything except for maybe cinematography, unless it has like a complete turnaround.
It might very well be just like First Man in Babylon with this Linus Sangren, and the movie doesn't get into Best Picture. He doesn't get in either. The Killer, I think, has a shot.
Sure.
A shot.
We call it a shot.
The Color Purple. I feel like even though it is showy and it is Dan Laustin, I don't know if it's like the most highbrow kind of thing. This is one of the more highbrow branches, I would say, is the cinematographer's branch.
Yeah, but, Dan Laustin might do some spectacular stuff here. I'm waiting to see it. If the movie looks incredible, it could be undeniable that The Color Purple gets a nomination.
Yeah.
But it would also have to be solidly in there for Best Picture.
Right. And I like this top 5 too much. El Conde is not happening.
No. Hell no.
I don't think so.
It's not even going to get campaigned.
Oh, some people have said the cinematography is very nice.
That's fine, but it's like not going to get campaigned.
Previous nominee.
You could delete it.
Black and white. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to keep it at number 9. Best editing. Oppenheimer's winning this award. It's easy. It's obvious. And nobody doesn't think so. So who are we even arguing?
It deserves it so much. Yeah. What a great win it will be.
It's Jennifer Lame.
It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It's the most editing. And it's also the most sound, and it's also winning sound.
Truly one of the best edited films in recent memory. I mean, going from Everything Everywhere All at Once to this, like, what a fucking pair.
If these were the nominees, I'd be voting for Oppenheimer. Who won't vote for Oppenheimer, really?
I don't know.
You got Killers of the Flower Moon. Easy slam dunk right there.
Yeah, and the editing was very impressive.
Poor Things is getting in because it's such a big Best Picture contender and is a tech contender all around. The Holdovers, I think, I just have a feeling that will get in. For some reason, like sometimes these comedies get in, like, Banshees got editing.
Yep.
I mean, I know Banshees was kind of arguably top 3.
Yeah, I mean, Holdovers does feel like a well-made film. Just a generally well-made movie. I think that gets into editing.
And then American Fiction at number 5 because now that movie having won another audience award at the Middleburg Film Festival, which does have quite a few Oscar movies like The Holdovers. I did think if that gets Best Picture, it's going to get editing. There's like a couple editing gimmicks in the movie that I'm not going to like say, but like I think that will be enough for people to go, oh, that's editing, and then put it right in there.
Yeah, mainly the ending stands out to me. And also the fact that there's comedy in the film, I think people associate that with editing. They tend to.
With the timing. I do think Maestro is a maybe. What I've heard is that Maestro is actually a little more like spread out with the cuts, a little more like long takey. So maybe it doesn't actually get editing. But
Yeah,
at the same
sorta
time,
iffy.
like Maestro is a big enough contender. Oh, here she is. Here she comes. Maestro's a big enough contender and a big enough tech contender overall that like it could just get in.
You
Could
think
just
so?
get in. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Anatomy of a Fall, we were sort of considering if this could get in the top 5. It has a reason to.
Yeah.
As a courtroom drama, there are certain scenes where the editing really stands out. But as an international film being in the top 5, though, I think it's kind of a tough sell.
That would be surprising, but it would be similarly surprising to Tar showing up in editing.
If Air was like actually strong, then maybe, but I don't really feel that strongly.
Yeah, I wouldn't even like that.
Barbie is kind of like big enough that it's maybe, but I feel like there's actually not that good of like a reason to do editing for it. I don't know why you'd like go out for it. The color purple, meh. Everything else is, I don't really think it's, I mean, maybe zone of interest if they actually really embrace it.
Yeah.
If they really embrace it, like there's a reason.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go out for the killer in like just editing.
I think it's not impossible, though. I think you keep that in your list.
Yeah,
The
sure.
Killer doesn't feel impossible to me in cinematography and editing.
And sound.
What about Ferrari as a racing movie with lots of sound? Maybe it gets sound editing?
It needs to be closer to picture and it's not.
Okay, fair enough.
Production design, Barbie and Poor Things. This and costume design, I just do not know what to do. I'm a little bit leaning one way though.
I was thinking about this as well, and I might still lean towards Barbie in both costumes and production design, not to get ahead of myself. Even though I left Poor Things going, in any year, this should be winning production design and probably costumes, but especially production design. Every set in Poor Things was impressive and extremely detailed and unique. Like the attention to detail in making everything from the walls to the furniture a little piece of art.
It's also its own world. It's like a fantasy,
exactly.
sci-fi in the past, but kind of in the
Yeah.
future thing.
Oh yeah, it's
Crazy.
got absolutely everything going for it. And this, I think, would compete as fantasy at the guilds.
Yeah.
Do we want to sort of speculate what the guilds are going to do? I mean, is
Barbie's gonna be
Barbie
fantasy, too.
Also fantasy.
So they'll be facing off. I think Barbie has campaigned itself in this category already. Vanity Fair shit, Barbie Dreamhouse tours,
Yeah.
behind the scenes. People have been talking about it all year. I think Barbie just is one of the most memorable visual sets I've ever seen in a movie.
I mean, the first act of the film is a tour through Barbie Land.
Yeah.
It's just taking you along for the ride, letting you absorb the eye candy that is the set.
Yeah, I think people might say, well, Poor Things, that's a contender to win. Tech awards don't really have a bearing on whether or not you win Best Picture. In the last decade or so, they actually just don't. There are some examples where tech awards go along with the Best Picture winner, but Nomadland didn't win cinematography. I don't think it helps you, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I
I don't
agree with
think
that.
winning Best Picture gives you necessarily a bump over other nominees. I think that in tech categories, they will go with what is the most of it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter if you don't need to win text to win Best Picture. Only the above the line categories, acting, screenplay, directing, help you accumulate your package towards the Best Picture win. That's it.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
think the
editing
text
matters a
matter.
little bit too, but then again, Ford v Ferrari beat Parasite.
Editing matters a little bit, but I think that was more of a trend last decade.
I mean, it happened with Argo and Everything Everywhere. Those are the last two, so it really doesn't happen that much. It
It's
really
not
doesn't.
a lot. I mean, Argo and prior to Argo, it seemed like it was going in that direction a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you had to have an
Yeah.
editing combo in there. I kind of hate to say it because I think I would give it to Poor Things if it were up to me, because maybe it's a superficial reason, but I'm not a production designer, so my opinion's going to be superficial. But the sets in Barbie are based on something that exists. Poor Things had to derive its sets and its style from something completely new and original. But it's something about Barbie may stand out just a little bit more, and to the average moviegoer, I think they might be more likely to see that as the production design movie.
I also have a running theory that Barbie's going to win production design costumes at Critics' Choice, and then Poor Things is going to win both those awards
Yeah.
at BAFTA, and then everyone's going to predict Poor Things. Maybe depending on how the guilds go, because they
Yeah.
are both fantasy. But everyone's going to predict
that's
Poor
going to
Things.
matter a lot.
No, but people go, oh, the critics don't matter. But actually, in production design and costumes, and I say it every year, they do a little bit. And Wakanda Forever didn't win Guild or BAFTA, and it won at the Oscars. Sometimes they do go the way of Critics' Choice in these categories.
I'm also just feeling that Barbie is going to have a lot of love come Oscar season, that it's going to do very well.
Oppenheimer and Killers are just locks. They're just in. They'd be great picks. The Color Purple at 5. I don't know.
It's fair.
Actually, no,
It's
I actually
fair.
don't know because I'm like iffy on Color Purple and Best Picture at this point. Production design, like I think costumes is a little easier than production design to get if you're not a Best Picture nominee. Maestro, it doesn't seem like it's the showiest thing, but it is a period biopic thing.
It doesn't need to get every tech. It's not a Killer's Poor Things Oppenheimer.
Should I put a note over Color Purple?
I don't know.
'Cause I don't know
Color
how
Purple
much I
seems
buy it.
pretty solid as a musical to get production design. That's pretty solid.
I think the Zone of Interest, maybe,
Yeah, kind of like editing, maybe. It stands out.
really stands out. The Garden is crazy.
Yeah.
The production design plays a massive role in like what the movie is.
Similar to Barbie Land, you really get to know the set by the end of the film. I think there's a good narrative behind having built the entire set as a cohesive unit. I mean, even the house, they were probably shooting inside of that. It's not a separate interior, I'm guessing.
It's all about how they wanted to make this feel like it wasn't part of the past. I don't know if the Zone of Interest is going to get showered in tech awards, but I think this is very much a possible nomination for
Yeah.
it. That's kind of where movies I really am considering end. I don't believe in Wonka, I'm so sorry.
No.
I just don't think that's really actually getting tech nominations.
If Wonka ends up being better than it looks, fine. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but from the trailer, I just don't like it. It doesn't have a good taste in my mouth. I don't like how the CGI looks. It looks gross to me.
Asteroid City, I mean, look, if they snub French Dispatch, what are you going to do? You don't get lone
That movie
production
should
design.
get-
You don't get
should get
lone production design, but it should get it, obviously.
Yeah.
Napoleon, no thanks.
I just don't
the way
feel
that they're
the
marketing the movie, they know
It's
they're
like
not getting Oscars.
it's like they know it's bad.
Yes, they just make it seem like dumb entertainment for people who like superhero movies.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're making it seem like because they know that it's costume design. Again, this is a Poor Things versus Barbie showdown. I feel like Barbie's costumes have really had an impact this year. I mean, people dressed up as Barbie to go to the theaters. Some of the costumes are very silly, but man, the colors pop.
And there's even a scene where it's like, look at this costume, and I mean literally. I think costumes goes to Barbie even if Poor Things takes production design. That's how I feel very strongly this is going to win.
I think that there's a world where both of these awards can go either for combinations.
I
think so?
don't see Poor Things winning costumes over Barbie. What movie were you just paying attention to the costumes the entire time? It's Barbie.
I actually think that in some other years, maybe Killers could win costumes in other matchups.
Nah.
But it's a solid number 3.
Nah.
I think The Color Purple that's a nomination it could get without Best Picture. And I think Maestro's number 5. Maestro is Mark Bridges.
Really?
Although it's not, the movie with the most costumes, maybe.
Yeah,
It is
not a bunch
movie-
of big fluffy dresses.
Right, but it's a movie where like the colors and the design that characters are wearing pop, and it's Mark Bridges. He's well known. He got nominated for Joker, which is kind of the same thing.
Damn, I thought you
else.
were gonna have a convincing number 6 here that would put up an argument, but no, you don't.
Napoleon looks like it has a lot of the kind of costumes that get nominated, but it's just one of those things where they could just ignore the movie. Some people think Napoleon's getting like 3 techs. It's just gonna get goose egg.
Honestly, a 3 tech nominated movie is huge. Like
Yeah.
that means that it's that it's a really good looking movie, that it's well crafted and critically acclaimed. Babylon got 3 techs. Name me a film that's actually really impressive that got 3 techs. Looks like Napoleon. I mean,
I don't know.
I think it looks kind of gross from the trailer.
News of the World got like 4 techs. I think Wonka is like a sort of maybe. It might get a BAFTA nomination, honestly. Wonka could get a couple BAFTA techs.
The trailer didn't impress me as much as I thought it would.
No,
with the costumes. I thought the costumes were going to be very prominent. I think I had this in all year up until the trailer.
Yeah, it's whatever. Chevalier, people probably forgot about. Oppenheimer, I guess there's a chance for like an over nomination here, but I don't really think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
People have definitely pointed out that Priscilla has some very extraordinary costuming. I can't wait to see it. I think the movie is probably going to get nearly shut out.
Nearly shut out. What do you mean? It's gonna. Get
I mean,
shut out.
I mean, it's going to get shut out, but like, I'm not going to say it's 100%.
It could be on the
guaranteed.
cusp for like
It's
one
on
or
the
two
cusp
nominations.
for 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But makeup, Maestro number 1. This really enforces my Bradley Cooper number 1 prediction that I have now.
Which is a total 180 because we moved him from number 5 to number 1. I
5?
think was he at number? No.
He was 4 or 5. He was number 4.
He was
maybe.
lower, yeah.
I think I've just been convinced recently that it's
That's the
Academy
show.
bait, and they love it.
It was in front of our eyes too, wasn't it? It was always going to win makeup. He
was always
is
gonna win
Oscar
makeup.
clip after Oscar clip. I mean, the most
Yeah.
recent trailer looks like there's 10 Oscar clips bundled inside of it.
I mean, the whole thing is the most Oscar bait thing ever, and some people think that it'll be viewed as trying too hard, and I'm sure that'll be a perspective.
I don't know, though.
I don't think it's going to be prominent enough. I don't think they're going to care
I'm starting
enough.
to think the film Twitter world just made that up.
Nah, I think he'll probably win, and I think makeup is convincing.
If you nominate Maestro for Best Picture, Bradley Cooper is not only the star, but like the filmmaker behind the entire project, the producer. It's kind of weird to argue that they won't go for it because it feels like he's too into himself. Because he's the movie. If you like the movie, then why wouldn't you want to give him an award for it?
Yeah, I think Cillian Murphy is still in contention. There's generally a perception that he could win. He's a humble man that people really adore, and it would feel good to give him an Oscar and give him that moment.
That's true.
This is where the argument maybe has some validity. Bradley Cooper, it's like, you know, he's overdue. He kind of knew it was going to happen. He knew what he was doing.
But is that a counter argument?
It might not be. I'm just saying, like, you know,
if he has it coming, if people think he has an Oscar coming, aren't they more likely to give him an Oscar?
Maybe. I mean, Will Smith was kind of like, oh, we know all along what you're doing. Anyway, Guardians 3 will get nominated for makeup. That's kind of locked in. Poor Things, I think, is also like arguably number 2. That there's no way they don't nominate that when it's in Best Picture and with Willem Dafoe and even just like every other character.
The hair, I guess.
Barbie, lots of wigs. I mean, we like to point out though that often prosthetics matter more than wigs.
Yeah.
But Barbie has so many wigs and it's in Best Picture, so I think that's fine. I'm okay with it.
That's going to happen.
What do I have at number 5? Why do I have Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer's not going to happen.
I don't agree with that. Actually, maybe it will, because I don't know what else is here.
Are you sure there's not a movie we're missing that's like somewhere we need to dig into?
No, of course I'm not sure about that.
Because all these are movies we're considering in Best Picture except for Guardians.
Oppenheimer, they do get old in it. They get old in it, and he actually gets progressively older in subtle ways.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very big tech contender overall.
Is that really going to get it a nomination? It doesn't feel right to me.
I think it's enough, kind of.
Really?
I think Naiad's actually kind of worth considering. There is some swollen lips and jellyfish stings. I mean, the short list could give me something where I go, holy shit, and then I throw it in. The Color Purple, meh. Musical. I mean, West Side Story didn't get nominated. People were trying to say that would get nominated, it didn't.
Yeah.
Golda, I think people don't like it and people don't care. And it's, I mean, yes, the makeup branch sometimes goes for stuff that nobody seems to like be paying attention to that has loads of prosthetics, and it sure does.
People don't really like the movie, and also people have a problem with the politics and who it's celebrating. I don't know, though, because it definitely has what you're looking for when it comes to who's wearing the most makeup.
It's whatever. Priscilla, I think, is a makeup contender. That's something that could maybe get.
Maybe.
And Wonka, again, it's just, I don't even know who has prosthetics, so I don't really care. Best score. This one's actually kind of tricky.
Oppenheimer,
no, not for the win. I think Oppenheimer's winning.
Oppenheimer is going to win easily.
Who's runner-up? I mean, Killers is probably runner-up.
Oppenheimer, close. Similar to editing, I feel very strongly that this is the right award to give Oppenheimer, and it's one of the most stunning scores of the year.
Ludwig's going to have no problem taking home a second trophy. Killers of the Flower Moon, easily getting nominated. Robbie Robertson did an excellent job with it. Yeah. Everybody has complimented it. Yep. And it would be a posthumous nomination.
Absolutely. I think some people are going to try to say that's going to make him win. No, it's not going to make him win.
If Poor Things doesn't get nominated for score, we storm the Academy headquarters and we riot.
Why would that not happen?
Because some people think that because the name is so new that they won't do it.
No.
And they play to favorites. There's a lot of music. It's great music. It's loud music.
And there's not that much competition, is there?
No.
I mean, actually, no. There is a lot of competition, but it's such a high-status film when it comes to Best Picture that it's going to stay in there.
You know, everyone's like, oh my god, Past Lives is going to get women talking. It's going to get 2 nominations. Are we forgetting, though, that the score is really good? And it's memorable. And every time I put it on, I'm brought back into the world of Past Lives.
All I can say is good for you. I just don't think it's going to translate for everybody like that.
I think that...
It's so subtle that I didn't think about it that much. After both of my viewings. During the movie, yes, I was immersed in the score and I liked it, but I don't know if it registered as an Oscar-nominated score.
Let me propose to you, though, that the branch might enjoy a little indie music. They nominated Arcade Fire for her, and they nominated Sunlux last year.
Yeah.
So maybe they're into Grizzly Bear. Well-respected musicians.
But let's see what else is here.
What else is here? I mean, look, there are 3 animated films that I think have a shot here. 3.
Is one of them Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Absolutely not. One of them is not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean,
wait, then what's... Oh, Elemental.
Elemental, Boy and the Heron, and Spider-Verse. And they'd all be deserving.
Spider-Verse is probably the one out of all of these that has the most passion.
You could say Spider-Verse has passion for Best Picture, too.
Yeah,
but we don't think it's going to make it.
Well, apparently it doesn't. People
What do you
seem
mean
to have
apparently it
people
doesn't?
quieted the fuck down about it.
People haven't quieted down. It's just
they
that,
have. They got
it's
a
just that
sugar
this
high
year's
from
been
it.
like the Oscar contenders this year have been good.
Fair enough, but I still think that it's going to remain in the best score conversation more than Best Picture.
Absolutely. And then what's going to happen is people are going to expect it, and there's going to be a devastating snub because they just don't care that much about like embracing the thing that people want that's not part of Best Picture.
Well, you know what's interesting? I mean, they majorly snubbed 2 films last year, Pinocchio and Women Talking. It's not safe. It's not safe. I mean, you seem to think there's only 2 things that are safe here. I think
Sure.
4 Things is definitely the third most safe, but nothing else is. And I think there's room to really reach down here.
Boy and the Heron, I think that it would be a great nomination.
Yeah, it
because
would be great.
they probably respect this man who they've never nominated, and there's be a time for them to do
And they've
so.
never fucking nominated Joe Hisaichi.
Yeah, and the score is nice and easy to listen to. It's palatable.
It's great.
And also Elemental. I mean, look, that's their boy right there. That is their boy, Thomas Newman. They nominated him for Passengers. What else can you say? What else can you say?
And
That's
you
their
said
boy.
the score was great in that movie.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's really good.
You could even have 2 animated films in this category, and it would be a good lineup. Another possibility is The Zone of Interest. Unfortunately, that movie has 10 minutes of music, but it's some of the best movie music you'll hear all year.
Zone of Interest is maybe too brilliant to get nominated here for the way it uses the music. I mean, it bookends the film. It bookends the movie.
And it goes in the middle of it.
The score feels colossal in Zone of Interest.
Yeah.
It does.
I think The Killer is like maybe a little bit possible still. I've heard good things about it.
No, The Killer I actually think is totally fair. I think this is really a category where you could go nuts. You could have a grand old time. You could just do whatever you want. American Fiction had a score and it was there. And it was a little light and bouncy, and some people said it was great, and I was like, that was fine.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is dead.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care that they nominated the other ones. Like, I just don't care. And I don't care that they nominated him for the Star Wars movie that sucked. That movie benefited from coming out in December, I'll say that. This movie, it feels like it never existed. Asteroid Cities is not going to happen. And that's about it, really.
Origin had a decent score.
Yeah, but that's about it, really. What's number 5? Give me your...
Oh, man. Is The Killer getting anything? Getting a single nomination?
I think Sound is more likely.
Is The Killer getting shut out?
I think The Sound is more likely.
I agree.
Look what they did to Gone Girl.
Score pair?
Look what they did to Gone Girl. You never know.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I would like to see how the music factors into the movie. Apparently, he listens to a lot of music, and I don't know if it's soundtrack
it's
or
probably
if it's
not.
score.
It's probably soundtrack, yeah. A
lot of score, you mean? It's probably score.
No, it's probably not.
It's probably soundtrack?
He probably doesn't listen to the score of his own movie, no.
Well, how do you know?
Because I heard someone saying he's listening to music.
Yeah, but they could have it be like, remember the trailer music?
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, it was sick, and that's what he might be listening to.
I think there's going to be plenty of score, but I think there's going to be...
I bet he's going to be listening to score. What do you think he's going to be listening to, like...
rock music that calms him
classic
before
rock,
he, like, pulls the trigger. I don't know.
Your argument's sillier than mine.
It's not silly at all.
Your argument is sillier than
mine. When you see the
mine.
movie, it'll make sense.
If you had to pick an animated movie, what is it?
That's the thing. I think there's an equal case for all of them. Elemental
Really?
feels the most dead for winning animated feature, but it's Thomas Newman, and it's crazy.
And it's still going to get nominated.
Spider-Verse is crazy. I don't know if Pemberton's a fave yet. He's never been nominated in the category.
It
A
might
lot
get
of
just,
fans
they'll
could
just smash the fans on the head.
Exactly.
on
They could be
Oscar
very
morning.
upset. Like, I can't think of a single reason Women Talking wasn't nominated for score.
They're going to sucker punch the Spider-Man fans on Oscar morning.
I also do think that we're not going to have a clue going into Oscar. It's not going to be obvious going into
No. That's I stand by that. I think all the way to number 10 is like you can pick it out of a hat.
For sound, we got Oppenheimer winning. That's literally a
Great
slam
nomination.
dunk. The hoop is 5 feet
It's
tall.
the best sound I've seen
How
in a
can
film.
you compete against a bomb?
One of the
Never
great
mind.
explosions in cinematic history. There's like a million reasons why it's winning. Nobody disagrees.
Well, there's 2 reasons why it's winning. There's 2 scenes.
There's
why
there
it's winning.
and also just the fact that like the sound frequently will like punch you in the gut. Killers of the Flower Moon. It's weird that I have this at number 2, motherfucker. And the reason I have it at number 2 is because it just is a juggernaut in general in tech categories.
I saw it and I was like, I don't see how that's getting sound.
Joker got a sound nomination, and so did The Irish. So did The Irishman, by the way.
I understand that's the reason that it could be at number 5.
You want to call it number
fucking
5,
2?
then call it number 5. But I just think it's very much going to happen. That's all I can say. I think Maestro's going to happen too. I think Maestro has big blaring music that's making everybody go, wow, the sound was loud to me. And that's enough for them.
Ferrari makes sense, even though I was saying, oh, I've heard people say the sound was bad.
I'll put the killer in over Ferrari.
I think you should put the killer in here.
I'll put the killer in
This is where,
here.
if you put the killer in here, I'll shut the fuck up about, oh, are you going to put the killer in somewhere? I'll just let you
that's
have
fine.
it here. I've heard it's very unique.
And I'll say this, I think the zone of interest, I think if that's getting Best Picture, I'd be very sad to see it not in sound.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can have zone of interest in here. I think you have permission. You have my grace.
Also, I just learned something about the guy who did the sound design for Zone of Interest. He did Nope.
That makes sense.
He did Waves, which is...
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's never been nominated for all this good work, for all this abundance of good work. And Poor Things, actually.
Poor Things.
And Poor Things, actually.
Well, that's in contention for sound, speaking of.
Yeah, somewhat.
I think
just
it
as a big Best
is.
Picture movie.
It's kind of like how Killers is in there.
I don't know why, but I don't think Poor Things is going to get sound.
I left Poor Things thinking, I don't know about sound as well.
Ferrari, I think there's been mixed reactions to the sound, but it's the type of thing where because there's so much vrooming, they might just be like, sound.
If it doesn't get BAFTA, it's dead. But it probably will get a BAFTA nomination because they love Cars so much.
The Color Purple, maybe as a musical, but we'll see.
I mean, a musical and Best Picture gets sound, no? Am I wrong about that? West Side Story, Cha-Ching, Les Mis.
Into the Woods, people thought was getting sound, and it didn't.
Okay.
It wasn't in Best Picture, to be fair. I mean, I don't think The Color Purple sounds like it's doing anything like particularly interesting with the sound. Napoleon, I'm sure there's a lot of chanting and swords, but The Last Duel didn't get nominated for sound.
If Napoleon shows up anywhere, I'll give it that it could get sound. I will grant Napoleon that one possibility.
Spider-Verse, I think, is only...
That's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I just don't really...
And it shouldn't really happen. I've said this, like, as much as I like the movie, it shouldn't happen for sound.
There's, like, maybe a case for Society of the Snow, because it is a plane crash thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
But it's an international movie, so you gotta pull the brakes a little bit on that one. Other than that, I think, we're pretty good on sound. I don't think the creator's getting anything outside of visual effects. Speaking of visual effects, here we go.
Right.
Visual effects, I had, like, a crisis about this category a few times, because I don't know if Oppenheimer is winning or not getting nominated. I think that it's very possible the branch says there's not a lot of, like, actual CG. There's no CGI in the movie. The visual effects is, like, some practical thing where they, like, shot a bomb close up, and everything else they did in terms of visual effects, which is like, removing things from the background, they don't care. They don't
just
care about
compositing.
That
That happens in like every movie.
Yeah. It is just about the bomb. Is that enough for the visual effects branch? It might fucking not be.
It's not just the bomb, it's the particle physics as well.
Sure. But
they're gonna call that visual effects.
If it gets nominated, I think that it could win because people go, that's Oppenheimer. I love the bomb. I'm voting for it. But the visual effects branch, of course, is visual effects artists, and they might not do it, but they also might, because this year is not that competitive. We have a lot of movies here that I am just completely like shocked that I even have in my top 5. That's where I think maybe Oppenheimer in a normal year would get snubbed, but this year maybe it doesn't.
The creator is really the only competition I can see if they're both the nominees. I think
that
it
would get
invigorated people about what you can do with visual effects on a lower budget. But, it certainly would help if the film succeeded at the box office. Even with the marketing leading up to the film, they gave people a tour of the production design and like they showed people how the visual effects were done.
It'd be odd
and it got people talking about the visual effects before the movie even came out.
You really feel Dune 2's absence here. Because everything feels like a very odd winner. A Marvel movie winning is also extraordinarily odd.
For visual effects?
For Guardians 3. But it will get nominated. I feel comfortable saying that.
The creator's the backup option. It's going to be the Oppenheimer.
The creator flopped and people didn't go see it.
It doesn't matter.
People didn't go support that movie.
It doesn't matter.
I think it matters that almost all the time the visual effects winner is like at least somewhat in contention for like other categories. And
well, this year's different, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. If Oppenheimer and the creator are both in the category, people aren't necessarily going to go watch the creator, but people will have seen Oppenheimer. That's why I have it at number 1, and I think it might get snubbed for the nomination. But if it gets in there, I think it's going to win. Little Mermaid was completely not thinking this was going to happen, but then I did some research and I said the things that people are trying to predict are not actually going to happen. Like Spider-Verse is not actually going to happen. I'm sorry, folks. There are actually less visual effects in this film than the first one. Most of the visual effects are tools that they built to give to the animators. And this movie has about half as many accredited visual effects artists because they probably already designed a lot of the tools. Most of the visual splendor comes from the individual animators making creative decisions. There's, like, I've looked into it plenty. I want to say that there's a narrative to give this movie some kind of visual nomination, but I don't actually think the case is there.
You don't even need to be that technical about it. I just think the train has come to a slow halt for Spider-Verse, and visual effects was riding one of those carriages. And there's just no way that I think it could get in without Best Picture.
Soul made the shortlist, but Soul was like a photorealistic rendering of New York City, okay? Spider-Verse is cartoony. It would be, like, wildly out of character. But I'll say this about the visual effects branch. They love Disney. They will nominate multiple Disney movies every year, sometimes nearly filling the category with Disney movies. And The Little Mermaid is chock full of visual effects. I think it will make the shortlist. Eternals made the shortlist.
I mean, listen, you think they actually took her underwater? I mean, the computer made the underwater.
As much as people may be criticizing the movie for looking a little bland, I still think it might get in.
There's got to be I think there's probably impressive stuff going on with Little Mermaid, even if the look of it, is not my favorite. Like, if it's not the best implementation.
Like, I'm just saying, people like to think that they just go out for interesting shit all the time, but that's not really the case when you look at it. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is sort of a combination of being like a big visual effects thing and also kind of interesting. And like, some people do admire the use of visual effects in this movie. And I watched a clip from it. It was like this 2-minute like fake long take. But it was, like, fun and goofy, and there's animal shit. I just think maybe there's just enough interesting shit on this movie that they'll give it the nomination. It seems just ever so slightly more like the reality that we could be living in than other things. A lot of people are resorting to Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, even though none of those films
it was not successful.
And none of those films have been nominated. And none of those films have been nominated.
Yeah.
For any Oscars.
Why would one of the least successful Mission Impossible films be the first to be nominated?
Due to lack of competition.
Yeah, no. I don't think so.
And also, for a movie where all the promos are basically showcasing them not using visual effects. Again,
that's by the way, that's what Oppenheimer is.
Yeah, but Oppenheimer is very proud of what they actually did do that is still considered a type of visual effect. I don't think that they will be that impressed with Poor Things. The use of Poor Things visual effects is sick, but there's also no CGI in Poor Things. They did visual effects. They filled in backgrounds. There's a lot of green screen. There is really cool design put into the skies and filling in the sets. Yeah. That's not the same thing. It's not like some 3D rendering, like top tier technology.
Hold up. The ship wasn't a 3D render?
Fine, that was CGI, but the ship didn't look that impressive from those shots. It was like pretty visual effectsy looking.
Okay, well, you just said there's no fucking
whatever.
CGI.
There's a little bit of CGI, but I don't think that it's like reserved for specific shots, and there's less than 100 people. There's less than 100 people that worked on it.
It's not impossible, though. I would say it's maybe number 6.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those things where people are overestimating it because it's a Best Picture movie without looking into the fact that like maybe the visual effects themselves aren't like actually going to impress them on like the most technical level. I have a lot of options on here because I really do think that like it's worth like digging deep and going into the trenches. Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder thing, also like, that'd be reaching to say so. It just looks Zack Snyder-y. There's nothing else to say.
It looks like just shit flying around, like fireballs.
The Marvels could get shortlisted because they literally shortlist every single Marvel movie. But that movie's going to flop hard, and it seems like people are kind of tired of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny maybe like still gets in, but again, I feel like people are really tired of that movie. They're very sour about that movie.
And people also shit on the visual effects.
Other than that, I mean, John Wick would be kind of cool. Do you think that they actually went to the thing in Paris, the Arc de whatever? They did not go there.
You don't think so?
They didn't. I know. I watched it behind the scenes. That's actually really cool and would be deserving the way that they did that.
Right.
I think Cocaine Bear could get shortlisted. I think that Cocaine Bear might get shortlisted. The bear actually looked good. Napoleon, a lot of people think this. I don't fucking agree at all. I just do not.
I'm not surprised that a lot of people think that. It's more in the period film category than it is in the fantasy visual effects one.
It has a lot of visual effects because they made it look huge. But
yeah,
you can tell what's visual effects, and they don't nominate this kind of thing. They just never nominate this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Elemental could get shortlisted. Wouldn't be shocked. And Flower Moon,
if it ended up not getting nominated, I'd be pretty
Some people think Flower Moon's going to get like kind of close, but no.
I think maybe it could get close.
No.
When I watched it, I really did think, wow, there are a lot of visual effects in the movie. There was a scene when the camera like pushed in and it was like pushing in past a bunch of cows. And I was like, those cows look very good. It's way too in the background, but it's a good supporting visual effects example.
Animated feature, Spider-Verse. You think Spider-Verse is winning? I think Spider-Verse is still going to win.
Yeah, Spider-Verse is still going to win. The Boy and the Heron is not as good as people wanted it to be, and that's just the facts. Like, it's not as good as people wanted it to be. Some people will find exactly what they want here, and I'm really happy for you, but I just think most people are going to understand what I'm saying when they watch it. Even I might have come down a little bit because I don't really know what I'm supposed to get from this movie.
No, some people are really fucking into it, though.
I know, but people were so high on it because of the hype.
I think Elemental looks kind of good at this point. The reception on it has kind of flipped positive as it gained a lot of box office. Chicken Run 2, the reception is out. The reviews are out. They're fine. They're decent.
What is it, like a 67 on Metacritic?
64.
I should have known.
It's only 7 reviews. You still got time to be right. That might be enough for this studio who they nominate a lot.
Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun the Sheep 1 and 2 and Pirates. I don't know though. I'm definitely not convinced on it though.
Yeah.
I'm like very kind of tempted to put Wish in because I feel like maybe it won't be bad. It'll be like mid enough that they're fine with it.
What's mid enough?
I don't know. Like
mid enough is not good.
They usually nominate these Disney musicals, but
it doesn't even look like the next Disney musical event. It looks like they slashed the budget for some like B-movie script into like a quarter of what they did for, a Moana. It looks like they're trying to elevate a movie that was supposed to come straight to like VHS.
A lot of people are thinking that they're going to overlook the Mutant Ninja Turtles movie here, and it didn't make the biggest splash, but I think that it was like
people actually think that
pretty well done, and like they might still go for it. I think.
Might?
Yeah, it's
I'm shocked.
It's still a maybe.
I'm shocked
it's
to
a
hear
maybe.
you say that.
It's a maybe.
I don't know how that's not over Elemental.
It's
or
not.
Chicken Run.
It's well, it might be over Chicken Run. I don't know. I think it came and went. That's what it feels to me.
I don't think so, though. People really liked that movie.
Yeah, I think it came and went a little bit. I think Namota's kind of dead.
How did that happen? That's one of the most acclaimed animated films of the year.
No, it was a little overrated.
I think so too. Is that still...
Actually, The Peasants is very close to being nominated. The Peasants might fucking get nominated too.
That very well might get nominated. Because it's an international movie, they have another reason to see it.
I might put The Peasants in.
Do it.
Over what? Chicken Run?
Yeah, you can take Chicken Run.
All right. Documentary feature, Beyond Utopia. I don't know if it's winning or not. I think I would still have it at number 1 probably. We've also got American Symphony, which is a Netflix doc that got a lot of Critics' Choice nominations at the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards. I think, that movie just got on my radar, and I think it might be undeniable. It's about John Batiste. 20 Days in Mariupol even maybe contending for the win just because... they find that movie to be very relevant. And I mean, last year they gave it to Navalny. I mean, I guess maybe it would be a little too much deja vu.
No, though, because it almost, in a sense, represents Israel-Palestine now.
In a way,
because the movie is simply about the destruction that war creates on, like, innocent people. And I wonder if it could actually win now, like, just because of that. Yeah. I don't think it would win if there weren't some sort of like relevant ongoing conflict because of the nature of the film. Like, it's one guy with a camera walking around and just filming the atrocities. It doesn't look like polished or refined in any sense or manufactured. It doesn't try to make you feel good. There's absolutely like no morale except for like, this is good that journalists try to do these things and document these atrocities. It's just extremely brutal. Whereas Beyond Utopia is also about atrocities, but it leaves you with a much more hopeful feeling. I don't rule it out for the win anymore. At first I was skeptical of a nomination. I don't rule it out for a win. The Mission is a Nat Geo documentary that seems to be picking up some steam, and it did pretty well at the Critics' Choice documentary nominations. That's one precursor that's kind of important. The more important ones are the IDA and the Cinema Eye, which will probably come out kind of soon, and the Indie Spirits as well. So that's going to be when we really know how this category is shaping up. But The Mission, I think, is like the Nat Geo one, if there is one to get in. The Deepest Breath, I think, still is a good shot. And it seems like audiences like that. It's not surprising at all. Not surprising at all. I think it's an audience-friendly movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't personally understand why like critics don't really like it.
The Eternal Memory has really good reviews and stuff, but I've heard some mixed things. Some mixed things about it. I know that it's not in English, but I think it's trying to be a real tearjerker.
It's worth reminding ourselves that we never really know what's getting nominated for documentary because The Rescue was snubbed. And if anything is similar to The Rescue here, it's probably The Deepest Breath.
Yeah, but also Free Solo won. So
Yeah.
you never really
I like
know.
The Rescue better than Free Solo. I'm just amazed that it got snubbed still. I'm amazed.
We got still a Michael J. Fox movie. That could get a lot of nominations at places because it's one of the most high-profile ones, and it's also really well-liked. But sometimes they don't always go for these, like, portraits of individual people. Everything else, I don't have much specific to say about it, but, you know, just other possibilities on
I mean, lots of things could happen. Even when the short lists happen, we'll probably throw up some new films onto here.
International feature, Zone of Interest to number 1. Let's go. This is going to happen. I don't see why not.
Great.
I don't see why not.
When was the last time the UK won international feature?
Probably not happen. Some people think, oh, the Zone of Interest is going to lose out to the Taste of Things. What? That's not like...
What? Because
It
listen,
is.
Isn't The Taste of Things a really nice movie? It's just like a warm cup of tea
So is Perfect
and a
Days.
nice little meal.
So is Perfect Days.
Yeah, but isn't The Taste of Things like...
No, it's not a warm meal. I would say it's like a little bit of a can type of thing.
Is it like a movie that parents will like?
You'd have to like French movies. I feel like it's a comfort movie for French people. I think that if you're looking for a warm and fuzzy movie, maybe you go Perfect Days. Like,
Okay.
I don't see why people think that's automatically the challenger here. Zone of Interest, if that gets into, I mean, obviously if it gets into picture, everyone will agree with me. But if you even think that as a shot for picture and a shot for director,
Yeah.
and cinematography, why are you considering a movie that you do not think is a shot?
It's just like every year. Every single year we play the same old game.
People will say, oh, if you put the Zone of Interest up against a nicer movie, more palatable movie, it'll split the votes with that one. But I'm still not convinced that Perfect Days is as low as you think it is on the list. I'm going to have it at number 2 because I feel strongly that Perfect Days is really good, highly likable. If that missed, I'd be absolutely gabber-busted
Wow.
if that missed.
Gabber-blasted?
I mean, look, Decision to Leave missed, but Perfect Days is like actually, in a sense, Oscar baity.
Okay.
I feel like that's a palatable movie for Academy voters.
Is there any chance that Perfect Days could have a surge into Best Picture or even into Best Actor or Screenplay?
I have it low on the list for those things, like low on
Okay.
the list. For 4 and 5, you know, we actually have a lot of submissions now. We know that The Peasants is getting submitted and not Green Border. Obviously, Anatomy's not here because of France. But we know that The Monk and the Gun is getting submitted. And this film, I don't know how I missed this at TIFF, but apparently has great reviews, great reactions, and is easy to like. Do you remember the surprise you felt when a film called La Una, A Yak in the Classroom showed up in International Feature? I want you to know that that's
Indeed.
the same director as The Monk and the Gun, and this
Okay.
movie even has better reviews.
Okay.
Another film that's been gaining some traction and might even be able to squeeze into a tech nomination or maybe 2 is Society of the Snow,
Yeah, that
which
seems
is
like a good
J.A.
one.
Bayona. You know, Netflix is also running that one. So I think that those are decent bets. I know the Teacher's Lounge has had a lot of hype. The Teacher's Lounge is a very gripping thriller. I don't know how I feel about the very end and if it really felt like it brought the movie together or not, and I don't think I'm alone on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if The Teacher's Lounge got in, because that movie is engrossing as hell. The Promised Land has had some hype this year as well.
People say that's a very well done and expensive looking epic film.
Yeah.
And Mads Mikkelsen's in it. I mean, it's high profile. I think it's an easy one to watch. Like, it's easy to get through. But my impression also is like everybody who likes it doesn't love it. Like, they like it a lot. They
Yeah.
admired it. They say it's very well done. Like, all the crafts, cinematography, production design are really exquisite. But no one seems to love it.
Hey,
so
movies have got in with that.
yeah, I
before.
think it could get in though. I mean, it does seem strong.
I think The Peasants could be going for a double nomination in animated and international. I don't know if it's like the most loved movie of the year. I don't think it's Flea level loved. And then 20 Days in Mariupol is also, I think, was Ukraine's submission.
Probably.
So
I don't know what
that
other movies they've been making this year or last.
Unfortunately, About Dry Grasses is going to get done dirty, isn't it?
Why?
Because they always do his movies dirty, man. They always do it.
Disgusting. About Dry Grasses is one of the best movies of the year. Yeah, you said it, Tess.
Original song. We have official word that Barbie submitted 3 songs. The 3 that you would expect, actually.
Yeah.
So I think that Barbie's going for 2 noms. I think that they're going for a nom for the fun one that appears in the movie musical moment of the year, as I keep saying. And I say that because I think it's winning, and I think that RRR is a fantastic precedent. RRR wasn't even nominated in a single other category, and they had so much fun with that.
Yeah.
That was easily like the musical number of the year. People are like, oh, they're going to give it to the Billie Eilish song. It's like, Bro, that wasn't a live musical number, and she just won.
Maybe RRR represents a shift in the tide from songs that get nominated, that win the Oscar, which are like ballads, which are like
in the credits,
slow and nice,
yeah,
in the credits.
I just think they're rarely given options to give it to an actual song that's performed in the movie.
Yeah,
and
fair enough.
I mean, if you don't give it to I'm Just Ken, what are you doing? What are you doing, really?
Yeah, I don't think that this is Diane Warren's year, even if she's nominated for 80 for Brady.
No, apparently she's still got that documentary coming out next year. We know that Diane Warren's getting nominated for 80 for Brady.
We know it.
Oh, yeah. She got nominated. What was that, like 2 years ago or last year? The Mila Kunis, Glenn Close movie that nobody gave a fuck about?
Credit for Diane Warren for giving so many films an Oscar nomination that feel like they should not have an Oscar nomination.
No, it's been proven so many times that it doesn't matter what movie, and it doesn't matter even what precursors. Like, everybody knew that documentary that she did last year about, like, women, that was going to get nominated no matter what, and it did. And it did.
Was that a documentary?
I think so.
I don't think it was a documentary.
It doesn't, whether or not it is, documentary not, it doesn't matter. This Wish from Wish is, you know, you might want to include something from Wish. It's a musical.
But you're not even predicting it for the nomination.
That's fine. That's fine.
Is that like
it's
insane?
happened? No. Trolls did it. Lego Movie did it. Clearly like an Oscar-y bait song that they have like a Disney musical thing in there. And maybe Wish will be nominated. That could be stupid of us not to predict, perhaps.
We'll see.
I think that song from Rustin, I think people didn't give a single fuck about that, honestly.
But does it matter?
The song from Chicago 7, nobody remembered that song ever. Nobody's ever remembered that song. And it got nominated, but that movie was in Best Picture, is what I'm saying. Now, Rustin,
okay,
you know, iffy for a Best Actor nom. Maybe it gets it, maybe it doesn't. Maybe this song gets in. Lenny Kravitz, but it wasn't that memorable, was it?
Honestly, I'm scared that no one will care about Rustin. I'm a little afraid that Rustin like won't even make a splash and people won't even realize it came out.
That's very possible, man, and I totally agree with you. That happens sometimes with streaming films.
It makes me worry about Coleman and Domingo, but rest assured, he'll have his year next year with Sing Sing. He will have his year next year.
Yeah, when that movie wins SAG Ensemble, he gets up on
and he'll win Best Actor for that movie.
Now,
possibly.
You know what would be a fantastic nomination is if they nominated Joan Still from Theater Camp. Is that not one of the best things they could possibly do? There is a song from Past Lives, but I think, I mean, it's a maybe. Just because it's a Best Picture thing, like I think that's
what's the chances that Barbie gets 3 songs?
It's low. That hasn't happened since like probably The Lion King.
Okay.
You also have Peaches from the Mario movie, which I think is it made a splash. We can say that, but I don't know how much. The Hunger Games movies usually have an original song, but like I don't think they've even never nominated one. Wonka might have a decent song.
I mean, if Color Purple's in Best Picture and it has an original song, you're gonna put it in Best Song, right?
Yes. All right. Spider-Verse, though, that also has original songs, but
fuck that, no one cares.
You know, no one cares. Finally, SAG Ensemble. What's winning SAG Ensemble? Now, I think that perhaps we've had a discussion about whether Poor Things could win, but I don't know if I quite buy it.
We have been having a debate about this.
I don't know about
We've been having quite a debate.
And I also want to mention something to you. Poor Things can't win WGA. It's not going to win DGA. Poor Things, in order to win Best Picture, might have to just go for PGA.
Yeah.
Unless SAG Ensemble happens, of course.
Oppenheimer might just be it, and I'm going insane.
Yeah, well, Oppenheimer's guaranteed a DGA win, and it might fucking win PGA, my god. So
Barbie might win SAG and WGA.
Right. That's also
Which is I mean, it's a scary combo when you want to consider whether Barbie can win Best Picture.
It really
and could it win
is.
PGA? The answer is yes. The answer is a little bit yes. A little bit.
I agree that it's in the top 3 or 4. It's a little bit.
I mean, it's a little bit. Yes,
that'd be fucking crazy because then it would win Best Picture.
What do you mean top 4? It's in the top 3.
Well,
Poor Things,
Killers could still win.
No,
PGA.
that's not winning PGA. There's no way.
I think it's like
there's like not a chance.
You can't say there's not a chance that
really
Killers is going to do really well this season.
The PGA?
I don't think it's going to.
They're going to be like, yeah, but it was too long. Like that's everybody thinks.
Everybody.
That's what everyone like actually thinks. I mean, forget people who are like, no. My ass will sit in a theater for 7 hours for Scorsese. Like, I agree with that. Like, I will do it too. But it doesn't mean that like deep down, I feel like that didn't need to be as long as it did. I'm not going to go tweeting like, oh, it's too long. Like, it's fine. It's fine if it wants to be long, but still, deep down, we all know.
I don't really think Poor Things has the thing with the cast. That's like, whoa, that cast,
kind of does.
So fun. Wahoo, yahoo. Oppenheimer sure is white men, but I feel like it's vast, and I don't know if it wins SAG Ensemble. I don't think Oppenheimer wins.
Oppenheimer has the highest quantity of notable performances in any movie I can think of. Like, forget a Wes Anderson movie where, like, okay, someone's in it for 3 lines and, like, I don't remember them. This movie has, like, literally 10 plus people who I remember their performance was solid and that people have, like, shouted out on Twitter.
Yeah.
If you look at, like, the quality of the ensemble, Oppenheimer should win. I don't see a way around it.
Good. Benny Safdie's good. Gary Oldman's fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason Clarke's great, too.
Yeah.
See, that I can play this game all day.
Oh, yeah, and you
kind of
even
the point.
forgot about Dane DeHaan.
I don't care about that.
Well, some people really like him. Like, there are tweets about him.
We've already been over this, but people go insane for the least. I'm gonna write an appreciation post for Alex Wolff, and it's gonna get 1,000 likes on Twitter.
Sure, but then there's like Branagh in it. Like whatever guy plays the guy who sits down and takes off his glasses and sheds a tear when Oppenheimer. Like, that guy, fucking amazing and very memorable in the movie. I don't know his name. What's his name? It's funny to not have it at number 1, but like. I get that, like, it's white men, and maybe they're just looking for some other, like, kind of theme. Maybe they're looking for a theme. I mean, Barbie's theme is, like, feminism and, like, inclusivity, right? That's the theme of the movie. And, like, the movie is diverse, but it's not, like, insanely diverse. Where, like,
but,
like, the
Barbie
leads are still, like,
Barbie
white.
is clap your hands together.
Right.
Clap your hands together, which is an important factor for SAG, I think. So that's why I think Barbie might win SAG Ensemble.
I hate it because I keep trying to refute it. But, you know, my main refute is Poor Things. And the reason I say that is because that has more than the 3 performances I think are going to get nominated for the Oscars that are very good.
Definitely enough for Poor Things to get a nomination. I just don't know that it's like, oh, the passion will be there for that to win SAG Ensemble.
Well, the passion has to be there for that movie to win Best Picture.
Well, right, yeah, but that's the other thing that I'm kind of worried about with Poor Things now is because when I think about what guilds it can win, I'm like, is it really just going to win PGA? I mean, that's happened before, but like, as we've established last year, you have to win a guild to win Best Picture. And if Poor Things didn't win any guilds, obviously we wouldn't think it's winning Best Picture. But Oppenheimer's more like going to win DGA. Barbie's going to win at least WGA, probably maybe even SAG Ensemble. I don't think Killers is going to squeeze its way into a PGA win or anything like that.
Or a SAG win.
Or WGA win. Because again, I think American Fiction would beat it. That being said, Killers is not going to win this category. Although Killers has a lot of good performances in Killers. A lot of good performances in Killers. Should easily be nominated for the award. I think The Color Purple does feel like a movie that could win in a sense. It has a big cast. They're all going to be getting big musical numbers and singing and crying.
I mean, there could very well be like 4 or 5 performances that people are saying are Oscar worthy and that are Oscar nomination worthy.
I think there's a possibility for Air.
Yeah.
Air has a great cast.
Great ensemble.
Wouldn't even be upset about that. Great cast, great
and
ensemble.
Viola Davis could come along for the nomination.
We know that SAG loves Viola Davis. American Fiction has a very big cast as well, and that could be the kind of movie that does well with guilds in a sense.
I think American Fiction's a solid contender here. If it's really in Best Picture, it's solid.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's over in the top 5, but like I think there's a lot of really good performances in that, and it's very notably.
And the movie is fun.
And it's fun.
And
it's comedy.
It's comedy. But the funnest movie of the year is Barbie.
But what if American Fiction is the second most fun movie of the year? What if American Fiction wins SAG Ensemble and WGA?
Poor Things is kind of fun.
What if American Fiction wins SAG Ensemble and WGA?
Stop that right now. It wins SAG Ensemble.
Yeah.
No.
If it's nominated, I'm going to consider it.
No, that movie is not even getting more than 1 acting nomination.
If it's nominated, I'm going to consider it.
Why would you do that?
Because I think it might. Because I don't see Barbie as being this runaway thing.
Do you think that there's a possibility that, like, one of the actors from American Fiction could start getting a lot of momentum in supporting? There's a few supporting actresses that are pretty good, and Sterling K. Brown's kind of good.
I don't really see Sterling K. Brown in there. I think maybe his girlfriend.
For example, like, if Ruby Dee played the mom, she'd get nominated.
The ensemble's good, and it's fun, and it's feel good. I mean, don't you see that? Don't you see it?
I think The Holdovers, you know, I watched that movie with a SAG eye, and I was going, okay, aside from the 3, which we all know, who else? And it's like,
The Teacher.
Yeah,
she would be sort of included.
Yeah,
but you don't really remember other people.
That's
like
the
I
thing.
can't. I think there's the janitor was good.
There are people who I thought were good, but I don't remember them that well.
Yeah,
Maestro. Also a film where outside of the 2 leads, it doesn't seem like anybody's really talking about anybody else. No Sarah Silverman, no Maya Hawke, no Matt Bomer. Everything else I think is kind of not going to happen.
Saltburn has quite an ensemble, but I don't know if it has the passion for the movie overall. But maybe it does. Maybe it's kind of like Babylon, because Babylon, still got nominated.
No, Rustin has a good ensemble, but I don't know. That movie seems like it's not doing that much.
Night School wins. Remember that. We got a couple movie reviews coming up. Priscilla, The Killer. And other than that, you know, you're pretty busy, so we're not going to be putting out too many things until we have to do the reactions for Golden Globes and such. Maybe some predictions for Golden Globes is the next thing we do.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Who would be in your SAG ensemble?